copies of DNA with high accuracy and precision. That's very important. Otherwise, the next generation of cell may have some kind of a mutation, or else we can go self-alteration will be there. Maybe at the genotypic level or at the phenotypic level. Most of the time it is at the genotypical level and their manifestation can be observed at the phenotypic level. So that's very important on a morphological level. So DNA replication is a very important topic. So today what I'm doing is I'll tell you a very brief aspects of DNA replication. Then we'll go to a small animations. Then we will further we'll move, because there are two important things you should remember. The DNA replication is a common to all, but the way that the DNA replication happens in prokaryotes and DNA replication happens in eukaryotes, it is little different. That's not entirely different concept, but it is almost same, but it is different. Same time it is different because the genome size of a human and the genome size of a bacteria, they are not same. They are of a larger size. The size is bigger. But if you see the nucleotide content, I'm not telling that, but the size, the complexity is entirely different. So next slide, I'm putting a very simple question to you all. There is a one question for you for the DNA strand, the 5' to 3', see TACGAT, CATAT. So what you have to do is there are A, there are B, there are C, D, E options are there. You do one thing. You just write down which is the correct answer for this question. For the DNA strand, 5' to 3', the TAC, GAT, CAT, AAT, what is the complementary strand? Whether it is A or B or C or D or E. You just write down, keep it. I'll give you 1 minute time to write it. All of you, please write it whether your option is A, B, C, D, E. You can answer at the end. So we'll check it whether it is the correct, what you're telling is the correct or not. All those things we'll check it later. Now you write down, look at that sequence and its complementary sequence, the correct complementary sequence I'm asking. So which one is the complementary sequence of above mentioned sequence? That is TAC, GAT, CAT, AT. So either it is A or B or C or D or E. I hope you know what is complementary sequence. Complementary sequence means if it is a T, then it will be A. If it is G, then it will be C. If it is C, then it will be G. If it is T, then it will be A. I hope you have done this. Continuing the replication, chapter of replication. Now the replication is like this. It is continuously happening. It replicates and replicates and replicates and replicates. So the process is very continuous process. At the same time, it has to maintain such a accuracy to manage the normal cellular metabolism at the phenotypic, I mean what you call at the morphological level or as a genetic level. Both the things are very essential. So this is a continuous process and it's make copies and copies and copies, and cells are dividing and dividing and dividing. When the cells divides, it has to replicate. So this is the what you call extent of replication. It's happening continuously, but the thing is, we don't feel it whether it is happening or not. But cells are dividing. It need new DNA molecule. DNA molecule should be the copy of old DNA molecule. So this process continues and continues. When we talk about DNA replication, two important things are there. When cell copies DNA, so each cell division, cell must copy its entire DNA. That's very important. When cell divide, it has to copy its entire DNA. That's one thing. Second thing, so each daughter cell gets a complete copy of parental DNA. So each daughter cell will get a complete copy of parental DNA. That's very important. One is entire DNA it has to copy. So daughter cell should get a complete copy of the DNA. Third thing, if you see the rate of synthesis, how fast the DNA synthesis happening in organisms like bacteria, the DNA synthesis happens at 1,000 bases per second. That means it can add per second 1,000 bases. But if you see mammals, higher organisms, or highly evolved human, like human, it is 100 bases per second. So that you can see how complex our genome is and how much time is needed. If you calculate that, the single DNA replication origin from single point of a DNA, the replication starts means the bacterial genome is 4 × 10⁶. So it takes around 20 minutes to copy. when human genome is around approximate length 3.2 into 10 to the 9. So how much time it takes? 10,000 times longer than the bacterial genome. So if it is a single origin, so what is the difference between the bacteria and human? In our genome, the origin of replication or the starting point of replication is not one, it is many. So it has to, it will do the work simultaneously. So things are copied simultaneously. So the bacterial genome, it will have only one origin of replication, and human will have a multiple origin of replication uh, to finish or to complete the task within a prescribed time. So DNA, when the DNA is copying, so just to copy the double helix, that's one thing. If you look at the double helix, the problem is it's anti-parallel in nature. That means both the strands are running in a opposite directions. One strand is running in opposite direction to another strand. Both are running in 5' to 3' direction, but they are running in opposite directions. And the DNA replication is semi-conservative, and we studied it. So what is semi-conservative? That means each daughter cell gets one of the original copy from its parents. That is very important. One copy is retained and one strand is newly synthesized. So it has to copy double strand. Second thing is the replication is semi-conservative. All those things are proved. I hope you remember Michelson and Stahl experiment, what I explained in the last class. So when you look at this, this is clear Michelson and Stahl experiment. In the first replication, it forms 2 copies, then 4 copies, then 8 copies. You can see the differences because a parental strand, how it has got distributed in the daughter strands. When it comes to what you call synthesis of a new strands, how it has changed. It is changing and changing and changing, and replication process continues and continues. So it's really a crazy thing happen inside the nucleus. If you look at a DNA replication point or place where the DNA replication starts are called as replication origin. And this origin of replication or the replication origin point is AT rich, adenine rich. So why it is adenine thymine rich? Because adenine thymine, it is a double bond. If it is guanine cytosine, it is a triple bond. And adenine thymine double bond means less energy is needed to break it. So when break, you will get a bubble that is called a replication bubble. That means it is opened up and pulled out. So 2 strands are separate now in a particular point. So that is the place where the replication starts, and replication continue in both the directions. It's a bidirectional replications. And you can see the strands are running in one in 5' to 3', another is in 3' to 5'. So both the strands should simultaneously copy, and both the strands will go in both the directions. So lots of complexities are there for the DNA replication, but it's a place where the DNA replication starts. We call origin of replication, and origin of replication is AT rich because it is, why it is AT rich? It is the less energy is needed to break that, and once you break that, it will form a replication bubble, and so the replication bubbles are so important to start a replication. So many other things will come, many missionaries, enzymes, all those things will come. That all those things I'll explain later, but first I want to give a clarity on the part of origin of replication. This is a bacterial origin of replication, but you just have a look at human. You can see human genome is a very big one. So what happens? There will be a multiple origin of replications. There will be a multiple origin of replication. You can see here many bubbles are there. And even in the X-ray image also, X-ray diffraction image also, you can see many bubbles. It's the original DNA picture, not the illustrated one. So there are multiple origin of replications in the eukaryotes. There is a single origin of replication in prokaryotes. And why the multiple origin of replications in eukaryotes? Because to maintain normal cell division, otherwise it will take lots of time to finish the replication. So cell division won't happen in a proper pattern, on a proper time. So in order to avoid the flagging and all, what cell is doing, a cell will go for a multiple replication. I mean, the replication is same, but it starts from multiple places. So what happens? You can complete the entire course in a very less time. That's very important thing. Bacteria will have a single origin of replication, and eukaryotes will have a multiple origin of replication. And replications starts from particular point called origin of replication, and then it opens up there with the help of an enzyme. I'll tell you which enzyme, all those things later. and those enzymes will open up that portion we call a replication bubble, and from the replication bubble, a replication forks will create. A replication forks will create. I hope you know the shape of a fork. So the replication forks will be created. From there, it moves in a bidirectional and complete the entire process of DNA replications. So if you look at the bubble, it looks like this. So there's a huge bubbles are formed, and that bubbles, from there the synthesis starts, and it open up in both the direction. That means a DNA is zipped one, so you have to unzip it. So unzipping is very important. When you unzip one direction, one place, there will be a tension created in another place because it is a coil of the coil. So super coiled DNA is found in us. So how exactly all these tensions are reduced in DNA, that I'll explain you later. But there are enzymes which will reduce that tension and they reduce the stress on other part of the unwind part of the, during the unwinding, what happens, there will be some portion which is not properly separated. Those portion will face the tension. So there are enzymes which will reduce the tension in those portions because it is a unzipping process of a zipped molecule. So surely tensions will create it. If you look at, if you have a landline phone, you will have that wire which is connected to landline, that same pattern DNA or a coil. So if you rotate it one more time, you can say it's a coil of the coil. So it is, we call it as a super coil. So the same pattern you can see in case of DNA. So tensions will create. When you pull from one side, there will be a tension on another side. So how to reduce the tension? So there are enzymes which are involved in that one, and I'll explain you clearly what mechanism it uses to maintain a tension-free DNA molecules during the replication. I hope you got idea of what is DNA replication. DNA replication is a biological process through which DNA makes its own copies. So that's very making copies. And copies, that means it's provide all the necessary basic molecule needed to synthesize the DNA, like DNTPs, deoxynucleotide, then the enzymes and the parental strands of DNA molecules. Together inside the nucleus, the new daughter strands are synthesized with high accuracy. If it is bacteria, it can synthesize it can add up to 1000 nucleotides per second, but if it is a human, around 100 nucleotides per second, because if human genome is very big, the chances of making mistakes are very high, and genome is complex. So in order to avoid these mistakes, to maintain the accuracy, to maintain the fidelity, the genome, the DNA will go for a less number of the processivity. We call that. So addition of nucleotides per second will be reduced in human beings. So along with these slides, I'm continuing with a small animation part that is very important for you all. So I hope now you can see my animation. Can anyone unmute and tell me, can you see the replication on small picture and animation?
No, sir.
No, you cannot see that. Can you see?
No, sir.
No, okay, yeah. Wait. Now can you see?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear any sound?
No, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So now, yeah, what I'm doing is I muted that original voice and I'll speak instead of that. So in this picture, you can clearly see they've written here what is replication, the process of copying a parental DNA molecule to form two daughter DNA molecules. So this process, what we call DNA replications. So the problem with the DNA is the self-complementary nature of DNA allows each of the two strands of parental DNA molecule to serve as a template for the formation of daughter strand. That's very important because parental strand act as a template for the synthesis of new strand. And this process is called as DNA replication. However, the replication of even the simplest DNA molecule is complex. That's what I'm telling. Even the simplest DNA molecule, the process is complex. It is multi-step process and involving several enzymes. So I'll show you how exactly these things are happening. So you can see here some enzymes are coming, binding and synthesizing the nucleotide. So this is the way how the DNA replication will happen in a genome. But the human genome is a very complicated one, because when we talk about the DNA, DNA is found in the chromosome. You need to unwind the chromosome. From there, the cell has to take the genome, then it has to replicate. So lots of complexities are there. That's why they are telling here, even though DNA is a very simple, it is complex and it is multi-step process. So we'll go further. So here, in this, when you complete this entire process of DNA replication, what are all the things you will understand? One is, what is the difference between a leading strand and lagging strand? And understand the function of DNA replication proteins. There are many proteins involved. What is the role of those proteins in DNA replication mechanism? And third thing, we will understand how anti-parallel strands, that means I told two strands are running in opposite direction, how exactly these two molecule strands are copied simultaneously. That's one thing, because one is a leading strand is called as a continuous strand, lagging strand is called as a chopped small fragmented strands. Those fragments we call Okazaki fragments. I'll explain you all those things later. So there is a leading strand, there is a lagging strand. How exactly both leading and lagging strands are simultaneously copied? So that's very important. So when you complete this entire animation part, so you will understand what is the role of proteins in this one. Those are proteins are, you have to remember the proteins. So first we'll go to proteins. Let us see what are the proteins involved in this one. So the first protein we need for the DNA replication, that is DNA helices. Second protein we need single-stranded binding protein, or else I could say SSBs. Then we need topoisomerase. Then we need primase. Then we need DNA polymerase. Then we need sliding DNA clamps. Then we need RNase. Then we need DNA ligase. So for DNA replication to happen, we need DNA helicase. Helicase is the enzyme which unwinds the DNA. Once it is unbound, it will rewind and form the double helix. So SSB, single-stranded binding protein, will bind the unbound DNA and maintain the single-stranded nature. Then we have a topoisomerase. Topo means, you might have heard of topological changes. So topoisomerase will reduce the stress on during the unzipping by maintaining the topological nature of a DNA. So topoisomerase. Then we have a primase. A primase is very important because there is another enzyme called in green color, I mentioned DNA polymerase. A DNA polymerase cannot start the process directly from nowhere. So it needs a 3' OH group. It needs a 3' OH group to start the synthesis. So primase will synthesize a small fragment of RNA which will have a 3' OH group. So DNA polymerase will take that 3' OH group as a substrate. From there it starts the process of DNA synthesis. So primase will synthesize small fragment of DNA with a 3' OH group. Then sliding DNA will increase the processivity, that means the speed of the DNA replication. And then RNase H. You know what is RNase? RNase means it kills RNA or degrade RNA, because a primase synthesis small fragment of RNA that we don't want in the DNA, because then it will become RNA DNA hybrid. We don't want a hybrid. We want only DNA. So what it does is it degrade all the small RNA which is synthesized by the primase. Then there is a DNA ligase. So DNA ligase means finally after degrading the RNA, then those portions are filled by DNA polymerase. Even though portions are filled, there will be small nicks or gaps, small gaps where lagging strands are synthesized. So this DNA ligase will go and use ATP or energy molecule and seal those nicks, seal those gaps. So sealing work is done by DNA ligase. That means the final finishing work is done by a DNA ligase. So it starts from helicase, then SSB, topoisomerase, primase, DNA polymerase, sliding DNA clamps, RNase H, and DNA ligase. All these enzymes together does a magnificent work to maintain a normal DNA replication in bacteria, in human beings. So we will discuss this replication as a prokaryotic one. Mainly we are thinking in terms of prokaryotes, but not in terms of eukaryote, because in your syllabus we don't have a proper study on eukaryotes. Instead of that, what is the major difference between prokaryotes and eukaryotes? We will study under the heading of eukaryotes, but we will I will give emphasis more on prokaryotic replications. So here, the first one we are telling, you can see here, DNA helicase, what it does. It just goes and binds and separates. So you can see the write-ups also, bottom I have given. So their DNA helicase are class of enzyme that couples DNA ATP hydrolysis to the separation of DNA strand. So what it does just hydrolysis of the bases and just create a bubble, a replication bubble from origin of replications. Then what the second protein SSB does, we'll see. So this is called replication fork. From there it moves like this, and even from this side it moves like this. So replication fork is the place a Y-shaped molecule, the Y-shaped molecules or else strands are created in the replication bubble. It's a Y-shaped strands are created in the replication point or else replication bubble. We can call them as replication fork. Next, what happens? All these are converted into single strand. Now it cannot maintain in the single strand nature. It will rewind and form the double strand. So the SSB will come. So SSB will go and bind like this. So once the SSB is bound, the single stranded nature is maintained. So single stranded DNA bind protein or SSB bind to the single strand DNA to stabilize the separated strands. So it maintains and stabilizes the separated strands. So maintaining and stabilization is very important. Otherwise, it will rewind and form the double strand. Replication can't happen there. So next is the problem. You are unzipping from this side. So there will be a portion of DNA this side which will have a tension. So who will do that relaxing? Who will relax the DNA? That work will be done by topoisomerase. So topoisomerase will induce a twist. So there will be a twist and wrist. So because of that, what happens? So topoisomerase removes a positive supercoiling, or else I can tell you that you take one rope and you coil it. So what happens when you open the coil from the middle? It tension will be create another part of the coil. So what this topoisomerase does is a topoisomerase will cleave or break one of the strand, pass another strand to that. So what happens? The tension will be relaxed, or else a topoisomerase, mainly we discuss about topoisomerase 1 and topoisomerase 2. So topoisomerase 1 will break one strand and allow another strand to pass through that and relax the DNA. A topoisomerase 2, what it does is it breaks both the strand, allow both the strand to pass each other and relax the DNA molecule. So we will, if we get the time, we will go through clearly on what exactly topoisomerase does. So now we just understand how it, just understand the basic concept of how the topoisomerase relax the DNA. Topoisomerase either cut a single strand or cut double strand and pass the DNA through that and relax the DNA molecule during the replication. So topoisomerase unwind the twist number. That means it decreases the number of times the DNA is twisted. So you know what is twist. So what happens because of that? The supercoiling nature, degree of supercoiling will be reduced. So now next, third. So now the thing is fourth enzyme will work. That is a primase. So you can see in green color, the primase is synthesizing small RNA molecule. So DNA replication require a primer. So primase makes short primer using single stranded DNA as a template, and DNA primase is activated by interacting with DNA helicase. So what happens now? The primase will bind the single stranded DNA and it synthesizes a small fragment of DNA called as RNA. So small fragment of RNA called as a primer or RNA primer, which will provide a 3' OH group to synthesize DNA. So next is the master enzyme will act, that is our DNA polymerase. Now this DNA polymerase will come and bind and start the synthesis process, and always DNA replication will happen from 5' to 3' direction. You should remember this, the DNA replication will happen from 5' to 3' direction. So the synthesis of DNA is catalyzed by an enzyme called DNA polymerase. DNA polymerase is only able to synthesize, I hope you can see that sentence what is written here. Wait for 2 minutes. When the primase synthesizing primer, it has to remove SSB. That's very important thing. So it's a small template it synthesizes. So that is only a simple role. They play a very simple role to maintain the single strand, what you call RNA. So it adds all these nucleotide to 3' end. Continuously it adds 3' end. So synthesis is for 5' to 3' direction. So fork will open, unzip, and the process will continue. So DNA polymerase work is only one thing. It will add, polymerize the nucleotide, dNTPs. It continuously add dNTPs. Now you can see in this picture, one strand is continuously synthesizing, that is called leading strand. Another strand, lagging strand, is synthesized in a small fragment. Those fragments are called as Okazaki fragments, are the fragment which is discovered by a person called Reiji Okazaki, a Japanese scientist. So that name is given for those fragments. That is called Okazaki fragments, so small fragments. Later those fragments are joined. That's very important thing. So when the process happens, like one strand is in a continuous manner, another strand in a discontinuous manner. So what it does is it adds, that means 1 second for DNA polymerase to bind DNA, and it continuously adds DNA and synthesize. So it can add up to 1000 nucleotides per second, because this is a prokaryotic nucleotide. It continuously adds nucleotides. So there is one important term will come, that is called processivity. That means the ability of an enzyme to catalyze many reactions before releasing its substrate. That means the ability of an enzyme to catalyze many reactions before releasing its substrate. So during this program, what happens, the sliding clamp will assist the DNA polymerase to increase the processivity. That's very important, increase the speed of reactions. So sliding clamp is helping to improve the processivity. That's very important. So you should remember that what is the role of sliding clamp? It improves the processivity. So DNA polymerase will continuously add nucleotide and it synthesize the DNA as it is. As the parental DNA, the new strands are copied. The mistake should not happen. Now we'll go to the next enzyme. Now synthesis is happening. But the problem, there is a small RNA, right? The primer is there. One primer you can see in leading strand, but there are multiple primers in lagging strands, are the discontinuous strands. So what we commonly say is the DNA replication is semi-discontinuous, I could say. It is semi-discontinuous and bidirectional. That's very important. Semi-discontinuous. This is not a completely discontinuous. It is a semi-discontinuous. That means one strand is continuously synthesized, but another strand is discontinuously synthesized. So next, during this, you can see again they are showing the same picture here. So lagging strand, leading strand, lagging strand, leading strand, the process continue like this. So it's an animation, so I cannot change anything. So as it is, I'm showing you all what exactly happening. So the next is RNase H, or the RNase enzyme, the enzyme which degrade RNA. So that fragment, small fragments are there in the lagging strand called Okazaki fragment, a short fragment of DNA formed on the lagging strand during DNA replications. You should remember this term, Okazaki fragments, all the enzymes. So now what happens, this RNase H will go and degrade all the green strand. Green strand means it is RNase primer. Those RNA primers are degraded. Those RNA primers, whatever degraded to that portion, DNA polymerase will add DNA. That means it is now degraded, right? RNA is degraded the base pairs, but the DNA polymerase has to add. You can see here, I'm showing one more time. It is degrading and degrading. So what happens when it degrades, there will be a gap. So you can see the lots of gaps here. Those gaps will be filled later. Now the DNA polymerase will go and fill those gaps where the nucleotides are, deoxynucleotides are needed. It fills those gaps. Once the gaps are filled, but in the same time, you can see one, what you call a strange phenomenon here. this DNA polymerase does not join all the strands. It leaves a small gaps here and there. So that's called nick, DNA nick. Those nick has to be sealed. That work will be done by this DNA ligase with the help of ATP. So here ATP molecules are used to seal those nicks to maintain the continuous nature of DNA. So DNA helicase need ATP molecule, topoisomerase need ATP molecule, and DNA ligase. Helicase, ligase, and isomerase, topoisomerase need ATP are the energy molecule. That's why what we tell is we need to have a food or sugar or something properly in our body is required to maintain the DNA also, because when DNA is replicated, energy is needed, ATP. ATPs are produced from your sugar or what we eat. I think last semester you studied in case of metabolism, how exactly ATPs are produced in us. Those ATP molecules are used for all these purposes, what we call DNA replications. So RNA degrades RNA, then RNA primers are removed, then DNA polymerase fills those gaps, and DNA ligase repairs those remaining nicks with the help of ATP molecules. So here ends the lagging strand synthesis. So now the important thing is, when we talk about DNA replication, the strange thing you can see is a lagging strand. That means a lagging strand is discontinuous strands. How the cell, I mean the DNA polymerase will simultaneously copy both the strands. That is a very strange phenomenon that we will see today. That's with the help of this holoenzyme. You know, I hope you remember what is epoenzyme, what is holoenzyme, what is enzyme. It's a multi-complex protein which core enzyme activity will be there in associated with a component that enhance the function. This is the extra components of this which will enhance the function. So the holoenzyme will help the simultaneous synthesis. This is called trombone model of simultaneous DNA replication. So this is just for your understanding I'm showing. You don't worry about this. This is just to understand how the simultaneously both the strands are copied. You can see how the sliding clamps are helping. So trombone model explain how the replication in machinery might exploit the flexibility of DNA to accomplish this task. According to this model, the single-stranded DNA template for the lagging strand pulls through the DNA polymerase, similar to the side of a trombone, and the flexibility allows the DNA polymerase to add nucleotides to the 3' end of the growing lagging strand. Same thing, what I explained is also you can see it here in the continuous working model format. You can see leading strand is continuously synthesized, the top strand, and lagging strand is also continuously synthesized. There is a sliding clamp loader. I can say it is a loop which is called as a sliding clamp loader, which will load the clamp and lagging strands. Okazaki fragments are synthesized. You can see. So here ends most of the process of DNA replication. I hope you got the idea of DNA replications. Next class, we will try to solve some problem or some questions related to DNA replication. And if you are not understood, you are finding it is difficult, I will show you again maybe in the next class. So in the next coming classes, so today you have seen the replication process. So next class, I will ask some questions here. And those questions can be used to explain DNA replication